following show is controversial and contains content you may find offensive. Listener discretion is advised.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Adrian Kennedy.
It is Monday morning. Good morning. It's good to be back. This is Adrian Kennedy and this is 98FM's Dublin Talks, the mid-morning talk and phone-in show for Dublin, by Dublin and about Dublin. And we have a busy programme for you today. If you want to get in contact with us about anything you hear on the show, you can send us a text or WhatsApp message to 0877 98 98 98, 0877 98 98 98. Better still, you can call us on 6797 981. In just a moment, hotels are asking homeless families to leave to make way for tourists for the busy tourist season. We'll be talking to one family who've been affected by this. We're also going to be asking whether or not you can understand hotels saying, no, we're going to take somebody who'll pay 400 quid a night from America rather than the council paying for a homeless family and not paying anything like 400 quid a night or 300 quid or whatever the rates are at the moment. Compo culture. You've heard the story about TD Maria Bailey, who over the weekend decided to withdraw her claim for falling off a swing. But it's opened a whole debate about compensation culture. I'll be hearing from a woman a little bit later on who was encouraged to exaggerate her injuries by her legal team. And can I borrow some sugar? We're going to be asking, are the days of neighbours calling around to borrow a thing of the past? Do you know your neighbours well? Or maybe you haven't a clue who they are. We'll be talking about that a little bit later on. And much more besides, between now and midday today. And live from Dublin City Centre, this is Adrian Kennedy. And this is 98FM's Dublin Talks. Now, over the weekend, Inner City Helping Homeless announced that they had to help 3 different families who'd been asked to leave the hotels that they'd been staying in to make way for tourists during the peak holiday season. According to Inner City Helping Homeless, these families had been staying in the hotels for periods from 3 weeks to 2 months and only got 48 hours to find alternative accommodation. Now, one of these families, which have 4 children, had to leave their emergency hotel accommodation on Friday without knowing where they were going to spend the night. And as you'll hear in just a moment, they've literally been thrown from Billy to Jack over the weekend and are very critical of the way in which South Dublin Council have dealt with their case. Now, the hotel that they've been staying in, the Clayton in Leopardstown, is full to capacity. I tried to book a hotel room there this weekend, and if I wanted to stay Friday and Saturday, no. The Deputy Chief Executive of Delata, the hotel group with which the family had been accommodated, has warned increased pressure may come on homeless services as Dublin hotels are going to be busier now in the summer months. And I'd like to know, can you understand why a hotel will refuse homeless people in favour of perhaps more expensive room rates for tourists visiting the capital? I mean, you can argue hotels aren't a charity. It's not their job to solve the homeless crisis. So can you understand why hotels would ask homeless families to leave in order to generate more income? Our telephone number is 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I'm joined on the line by Josh Daly. He and his partner Jade and their 4 children on Friday had to leave the hotel that they'd been staying in, which as I said is the Clayton in Leopardstown, because they just had no rooms for them. Their stay was up and they had to get out. So, Josh, let me begin by asking you, if I may, when did you first realise that you had nowhere to go?
Well, what was I came to the week beforehand, and somebody else was only after being speaking to me because they were having problems with booking in, and they were left for Wednesday night the previous week with nowhere to go. So I said I'd be ahead of the ball, and after the weekend on the Monday, at the start of the week, I rang down to reservations and I asked about rebooking the room back in for another month. And with that, then they said they were after the hotel was after reaching its full capacity, that only if there was going to be a cancellation that they could rebook the 2 rooms that we were in. But the possibility was very slim, but they advised us to call down to them every day, and if a cancellation came up, that'd be the only way possible of us getting back in for at least a couple of days.
Okay, now I know myself, I just tried a couple of minutes ago to book a room in that hotel for this weekend, and there was no availability for Friday and Saturday night, so they obviously are full to capacity.
Yes, they overbooked the room, so because it's being paid through Dublin City Council, they can't actually hold the room. But if someone rang up with cash or a credit card, they can overbook the booking.
So you found yourself on Friday with basically nowhere to go. What have you done over the weekend? At the start of the week on Monday morning, when I called them, I kind of had a bit of a few days in advance to kind of get something in place, because I knew a few days beforehand. But it was only for the fact that if I hadn't actually rang them on Monday, I wouldn't have had any clue until that day. Okay. But when after that, on the Tuesday, I started ringing around every hotel in Dublin up until what was it, Friday morning. I done it. That's talking hostels, they're talking hotels, they're talking B&Bs, inside, outside Dublin, Kildare, Leithlip, Naas, Newbridge, Dunboyne, Meath, Ashbourne, Rush, Lusk. To be honest, I didn't mind where I was going to be, even if I was down the country. At least I had somewhere, and the kids had a roof over their head was my main priority. So I kind of didn't really care where I had to go, even if it was for a couple of days. But once we had somewhere, so that's why I tried literally everywhere inside and outside Dublin, and I wasn't successful whatsoever. So what have you been doing, yourself and your partner Jade? What have you been doing since Friday then?
Since Friday, when I spoke to the council on Thursday, and said since Tuesday I've contacted everywhere inside and outside Dublin, and there's no possibility of getting anywhere. We're due out here Friday morning, and we have nowhere to go at all. It's any chance to just be able to provide some sort of accommodation, because I can't find any accommodation. So with that, the woman of South Dublin County Council, she said to me, well, they had nothing to offer me, and they had nothing there. That the only way you'd be able to get something was to contact the CPS, the Central Placement Services in Parkgate Hall. So after I got off the phone to her, I didn't kind of really want to ring them, because I kind of had a feeling already what they were going to say to me. So I bit the bullet and I gave them a call, and I rang this 01 number that was a family hat team, and they gave me the direct line then into the CPS in Parkgate Hall. So I spoke with a woman in Parkgate Hall then, and I explained that I rang everywhere inside and outside Dublin. I had nowhere to go tomorrow morning with my 4 kids. They have to attend school and any other things. And that I was speaking out Dublin County Council, and they said they had nowhere to offer us, and they couldn't accommodate us anywhere, because they're over all the placements and all the hotel things and all. They can get you into places. So when I spoke to the girl in Parkgate Hall, lifted me over for one. The first reason why she lifted me over was because I contacted the Parkgate Hall, and I'm not one of Parkgate Hall's clients, as they're part of Dublin City Council. Then the second reason why she lifted me over then was because I was after getting a hold of the main contact line in the CPS, which I shouldn't have been able to get my hands on that phone number. And then she was given a load saying that South Dublin County Council should not have tried to con me onto them and tried to not do our job. That our job was that she should have really done in the end of the day was contact Parkgate Hall herself on my behalf and advocate for me, which she wouldn't do whatsoever. And the girl that I spoke to in Parkgate Hall said, well, when they did say this to her, and she had contacted us and requested something on their behalf and advocating for it, more than likely there would have been a chance to be able to avoid something. But after I got off the phone to her, she said there's literally nothing that she could do, and she couldn't look up my file or anything, as I could be anybody, but as if just because contacting them looking for accommodation for their families, because it's hard enough being in the situation. So as if anybody just contact them.
Your point is that South Dublin County Council haven't looked after you properly?
No, they haven't whatsoever.
So tell me, what is your situation since Friday then? What have you done over the weekend? How have you slept?
Well, the average sleep is between 3 to 4 hours each night because of all the stress and all the pressure that I'm under. That it's just literally going from hotel to hotel. You don't know if you're going to be there. Then you're stressing to make sure that the kids are looked after all the time.
So did you find somewhere to stay over the weekend?
I did. The only how I managed to source accommodation over the weekend was through the charity Inner Helping Homeless that is run by Anthony Flynn. And if it wasn't for Inner Helping Homeless, we would have been left on the streets for the weekend, because South Dublin County Council and everywhere else literally would not do one single thing for us, which was an absolute disgrace.
Okay, so tell me what this week holds for you. You've had some temporary accommodation for the weekend, so what now?
The temporary accommodation that ends tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. So this morning I'm going to head, after I drop the kids into school, I'm going to head up to South Dublin County Council. I'm going to go in and I'm going to explain things to them. I'm going to show them the thing online that's in the Irish Times as well, to see if it can put any pressure on them at the same time while showing them. And if they're still not going to, if they still say that they have nothing to accommodate me with, or they can't put me anywhere, but the next solution that I have is I'm going to have a standoff in their offices with them.
What sort of effect is this having on you and your partner and your children?
Mentally and physically, it has us depressed. We don't know where we're going to be. We can't settle. Every time the kids settle, they have to up and leave somewhere else. That there's no stability in place. The significant amount of pressure that's on us, it's tearing my relationship with my partner apart. That has been, because all the stress that we're under, and it's mentally and physically, it's just not good for us whatsoever. After 7 to 8 months, it just seems to be getting a million times harder than easier.
And tell me, Josh, how did you find yourself in a situation of declaring as homeless in the first place?
See, it was due to an incident that happened to me. I ended up in hospital for a couple of months, and I was renting an apartment, and I was working at the time. And when I ended up in hospital, I was in hospital for a couple of weeks, and with that I fell behind on my rent and everything. So we ended up losing everything.
So due to no fault of your own, essentially?
No, I was just mistaken for somebody else what had happened.
All right, so you're facing into a possible very difficult week, yourself, your partner and your 4 children.
We are indeed. So the only solution that I have today now is to go up to South Dublin County Council, say everything that I can possibly say to them, and if I have no joy with them, I'm going to sit there in the office and I'm going to refuse to leave until there's something handed to me from them, because there's no way to me living. The significant amount of stress that and pressure that they have on me shouldn't be all on me. They should have a part to play on it, because myself and my partner, it's just literally it's getting really too much on us with our mental health and everything. It's just it's causing lots of more problems that we don't need to be adding. You know, man.
Well, Josh, we're going to stay in touch with you during the week, and hopefully something will come up, and hopefully the council will sort something out for you to put a roof over your head this week. But we will keep in touch with you during the rest of the week.
Yeah, no, that's no problem at all. So if I'm not successful with them today, I'm gonna be having a standoff, and I'm gonna put a live all over Facebook.
All right, well,
the only solution that I have.
All right, as I said, we'll talk to you again later on during the week. Thanks very much indeed, Josh, for talking to us on 98 FM.
No problem. Thanks very much, Adrian Kennedy.
And I'd love to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. Kelsey, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Kelsey?
Hi, Adrian, how are you?
Kelsey, your point on this, after hearing that story from Josh, is that hotels shouldn't be allowed to pick and choose who stays there.
Yeah, I more think it's like if you're going to offer your hotel rooms up to homeless families, that you shouldn't be able to say, oh yeah, well, we'll take homeless families when we're not busy and we need the money. But then when it comes to the summer months, no, we don't want them anymore. I don't think they should be able to pick what months they choose to have the families in. It should be all or nothing.
But they are businesses. They're not charities.
But they don't, surely they don't have to take homeless families in. Surely you kind of offer up your services to homeless families, or you don't, because not every hotel does it, do they?
No, not every hotel does.
So, I mean, it's their choice, really. But, I mean, I think it's wrong to kind of abuse vulnerable people by saying, oh, yeah, well, we'll take them when we're not busy, but then when we are, like, we don't care about you anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Okay, but I would have thought, now I don't know the exact rates that the councils pay to the hotels for accommodating homeless people, but I shouldn't imagine it's at the top end of the rates that hotels can charge, particularly during the summer. So if you've customer A offering you 100 quid and customer B offering you 200 quid, you're going to go for the 200 quid.
I understand that, but again, I think it's like, you know, there's the other families can't afford 200 quid. Do you know what I mean? I don't think it's, I know it's a business at the end of the day, but I don't think it's right to abuse vulnerable people like that. People that, you know, that they have no other choice but to stay there. I mean, they'd be somewhere else if they could be.
So your point is that if a hotel is prepared to take homeless families when things are quiet, you know, in October, November, there wouldn't be as many tourists as there would be in May and June and July. If they're prepared to take them during the quiet times, they should be forced to take them during the busy times.
I think it should be an opt-in or opt-out system, that either you take them all year round or you don't take them at all.
All right, do me a favour, Kelsey. Stay on the line there for 1 second. I'd love to hear from you on this. On 6797 981, you can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. Just got a message in a moment ago and it says, considering hotels are paid thousands of euro of taxpayers' money every month by the government to house the homeless, this claim that they don't get as much money housing them that they do for other guests is a lie. Any hotel that won't house homeless families should be named and shamed online. 6797 981 is our telephone number. We'll take a quick break. We're back in just a moment.
98FM's
Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. 6797 981 is our telephone number. We've been hearing the story of a homeless family, including 4 children, that had to leave emergency hotel accommodation in Dublin on Friday without knowing where they were going to spend the night. We were talking to Josh just a couple of minutes ago. They had been staying for the past 4 weeks at the Clayton Hotel in Leopardstown, but the last night of their booking was last Thursday, and ever since then they've been thrown from Billy to Jack. And basically the hotel industry is saying that this is just like any other business. When there's no space available, there's no space available. They say hotels could only take bookings for homeless families for a short number of days or weeks, and often were unable to rebook them afterwards due to other commitments. So in other words, they can't take homeless families when there is a huge demand for hotel rooms in Dublin. In fact, one spokesperson said it's a terribly unfortunate situation. However, hotels were never meant to house homeless. But we heard from Kelsey, who's arguing that, look, if hotels are prepared to take homeless during the quiet months of the year, they should be forced to take them during the busy months of the year. John, your point is that hotels aren't actually making huge money out of accommodating homeless families.
Yeah, correct. Like, hotels offer so many services, bar just the rooms. They have bars, they have restaurants, some of them offer massage service and things like that. And they're mostly not going to get used by a homeless family due to the lack of money. Like, I think hotels are doing their part by temporarily even offering in the first place. As young Kelsey was saying there, a hotel should have an opt-in, opt-out. every hotel is going to pick opt-out, because at the end of the day, if you can have, let's say, even if it's just 10 homeless people or 10 tourists, if it's your business, you're going to pick the 10 tourists because they have chefs to pay, they have bar people to pay, lounge staff to pay, people who offer kind of sort of room services like massages and things like that. They're not going to get paid by homeless people in there. Like, a homeless family aren't going to spend 20 or 40 euro on a meal and things like that, drinks. Like, if you run the hotel, that's what you're going to go for. A hotel in the first place, by the hotels even temporarily offering, that's great, because if they didn't offer, there'd be less places for those homeless people.
Okay, but a lot of calls, John, are saying that hotels shouldn't be able to pick and choose, shouldn't be able to, take homeless people for the quiet months of the year and then chuck them out for the busy months.
At the end of the day, if a hotel has an option of, if it was, as Kelsey was saying, an opt-in where they have to opt in and take it no matter what, no hotel's going to opt in. They're not going to choose to do that. If they just have to get a bunch of homeless people thrown at them, they're going to say no, especially like with the kind of idea behind it. Like, at the end of the day, like, a lot more homeless people, not everyone, when I say this, going to cover myself, not every homeless person is an alcoholic or a drug addict, but it's a higher percent. And as well, if you're going to put that in, there's a higher chance of your rooms getting damaged and things like that if you're only taking in homeless people.
Okay, but let me just go back, Kelsey, let me just go back to you for a second. You were talking about, have an opt-in scheme for hotels. John's point is that no hotel is going to opt in if that be the case, if they're forced to take them, when they're being offered more money, or where their clients are more profitable, spending in restaurants and bars and everything else.
What Josh is basically after saying is that it's just going to be homeless people in the hotels then. With what I feel that they're doing is they're filling their gaps that they're not obviously making as much money during like the winter months or whatever. So they're choosing to fill their gaps, their vacant rooms with homeless people, and then during the summer, do you know what I'm trying to say? Is like they're not taking them then in the summer, but they're happy enough to take them during the winter. And it's not like it's just homeless people. Yeah, they're filling gaps.
Okay, stay there for 1 second, both of you. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Bobby, you're on 98FM. How are you, Bobby?
Not too bad, sir. How are you?
Good, thanks, Bobby. What did you want to say?
As some of the previous callers were saying, I mean, they were saying that that they pick the normal tourists over the homeless people. That's fair enough, but you can't have both choices. You take one or the other. You either keep your hotel for your tourists, or if you sign up for the homeless people, that's what you sign up for. I mean, people aren't homeless for 3 months of the year. They're homeless for the year. People go on holidays for 3 months of the year, or whatever, in the same, say, July, August, September. The homeless people are homeless all the time.
Yes, no, homeless all the time until they get somewhere to live. But
yes, but clearly what they're doing is they're picking the best of the crop. That's what they want to do. And I can understand it's a business.
And that's exactly what I was going to say. If somebody's prepared to pay me... At the same time,
I can guarantee you, the government didn't go crying to them, please take homeless people. They went to the government saying, listen, we're doing nothing in the winter months. Can you give us some homeless people?
No, I don't, because the way it works is that the people actually make the booking themselves, and then the council just pays for it. So a lot of hotels are aware that they're accommodating homeless people, but wouldn't necessarily be from the get-go. Well,
look, it's quite simple. When the homeless people come in and say, no, we don't want to go away all year round, because otherwise they're just picking the cream of the crop, and that's what they're doing. And as I said to you, it is a business, and I can understand that. But you can't have your cake and eat it. You either take one or you take the other.
John, what do you say to that? You can't have your cake and eat it. You either take them at the quiet times and take them at the busy times, or you don't take them at all.
No, if they have the free rooms and they're offering up the free rooms, again, if they didn't offer up the free rooms during winter or whichever, then those homeless people, whether it's for 7 days or not, that hotel is still providing them a shelter for those 7 days, which is better than nothing. It's still helping them out. They usually know when they go in the time frame that they're given and whether it's going to get extended or not. If they didn't do it, then they'd be out in the streets for those small amount of days.
And I wouldn't mind, I can guarantee you, if the hotels that are taking them, rather than these big posh hotels, and it's all these little Mickey Mouse hotels around the country, you won't get somebody staying in the Gresham now.
No, well, in fact, some of the bigger hotels have said no, but...
Now, why do you think they said no? Because they know that they can get the proper clientele in the right places.
John, let me just read. This is an article from, when was this? From last year, right? But one particular Dublin hotel was paid between 4 and 5 million euro to accommodate homeless people in 2017.
Happy days.
Do you think a hotel that is making money like that should be able to say, well, look, we're busy now, so shag off?
Well, it depends if they've filled the quota of that amount of money. Again, they still have other people that they need to pay that particular service. That will only go towards the cleaners in the rooms and that kind of services. But the other services, such, again, as the catering criteria side of things, they're not going to employ as many staff if people aren't using those services that they bring in. So if that hotel was to bring in that much worth of homeless people, and then they have people there running bars, running restaurants, again, all the other services that they provide, whether they have a swimming pool or not, whether people are inspecting over that, those services aren't going to be used. So they're not going to employ people for that then. So there's going to be...
Okay, so Bobby, the point being that your average homeless person, by the mere nature of the fact that they're homeless, can't afford to be going to the bar every night or can't afford to be eating in the restaurant. So the hotel is losing money on them.
No, they're not losing money on them. What they're doing, they're still picking the cream of the crop. If them people went in there at all, as you said, the hotel that made 4 or 5 million for just dealing with homeless people, how would he be now getting that 4 or 5 million? He'd be on the bleeding scratcher.
All right, stay there for 1 second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message that's just come into us, and you can send one to us as well to 0877 98 98 98.
Hey Adrian, how's it going? Sean here in Finglas. I'm living in a one-bedroom apartment in Finglas that I got off Clwyd 6 years ago. And in that time frame, I've had 2 kids that are aged 1 and 2 now. They've been living with my partner and their mother in her aunt's house. She's since passed away, so that changed their accommodation. They have to come stay with me now. I tried to go through all the proper routes, through Clwyd, through the Dublin City Council, and I've been told that my only options are to go homeless because it would be overcrowded and I'm not allowed to move my family into my apartments. So yeah, literally word for word being told that I'll have to go into a hotel, me and my family, or else I can't have them with me. That's pretty much it. For anyone that will come in and say I should be saving for a mortgage and rent, I work full time, she works full time, we just about get by. We pay rent, we pay the same bills as everyone else, and we pay childcare fees same as everyone else. Thanks, Adrian. Which is
a ridiculous situation that he has somewhere to live, but his partner and kids can't move in with him. Just seems insane. Liz, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Liz?
Hi, Adrian.
Liz, this conversation annoys you. Why?
Because it's just constant. Now, I know the chap that you were talking to first was saying he was only in that hotel for 4 weeks, but he was in a situation for 17 months.
Correct.
And I just don't understand when these homeless, well, I say homeless, but they're not actually homeless because they have somewhere, a roof over their head. But when they're in hotels, they seem to get the room and presume that they're going to be there until they get somewhere off the council. Like, it's not a home you're being
So what are you saying?
That you get a council house. Like, you were there for 4 weeks, so in them 4 weeks, were they not looking for accommodation, or in the 17 months? So in other words,
you're arguing that some homeless people just kind of sit back and wait for it all to happen.
Wait for the council house to come up, or wait for the state to provide them with something else. But what are you actually doing to get out of that situation yourself? Some people that are in hotel rooms are there for 6 months, 12 months, 18 months. Like, it's ridiculous. What are you doing to pull yourself out of it? Any of them.
You see, I don't know if you're aware,
really annoying,
but hang on, I don't know if you're aware, and I'm sure you are. We have a rental crisis in Dublin. We have a housing shortage in Dublin. Getting somewhere to live or stay is a nightmare. And you heard that guy.
You're getting somewhere to live or stay in Dublin.
No, but
okay, but the majority of these people aren't willing to even look anywhere outside of Dublin is in Ireland.
Hang on for 1 second. That guy Josh that we spoke to, he rang every hotel in Dublin and beyond Dublin, in the outskirts of Dublin, looking for somewhere to stay, and couldn't get anywhere.
The outskirts of Dublin, and just like the majority of these people in this situation, and it's not a nice situation. A hotel room is nowhere to try and provide for your family. I understand that, and not everybody is in that situation by choice. it depends on the circumstances, and some people end up there. As your first caller said, he was out woke because of an accident, and that I can understand, and that's horrible, and it's hard, but it was 17 months ago. And
so in other words, your argument is he should have he should have gotten his act together.
What have they been doing in 7? No, not just him, but I mean, I'm sure he had a partner. Him and his partner and 4 kids. So between him and his partner, in 17 months, they haven't been able to find anywhere in Ireland. No, they haven't been able to find anywhere in Dublin. Do you know what I mean? It gets really annoying when you keep hearing the same things. Of course, hotels have the right to turn around and say, well, we can't accommodate it in these months. They do have to provide for their staff as well. Do you know what I mean?
All right, but stay there for 1 second, Liz. 6797 981 is our telephone number, and you can send us a WhatsApp voice message to that same to 0877 98 98 98.
It's up to the government to fix the homeless problem, not hotels and Airbnbs. Blaming Airbnbs for homeless problem when they should be fixing it.
All right, thank you very much indeed. Joe, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Joe?
Good morning, Adrian. How you doing?
Good, thanks, Joe. What did you want to say on this?
Good morning. Just a quick one for you. My personal opinion on it is, Adrian, an example being all year round the hotel charges €150 per say for a night, and they're taking the homeless people in. Fair play. Everybody's got to do a bit. Now, when the custom comes in for concerts come in, all the other public services aren't allowed to put up their fares. Taxis don't put up their fares. Buses don't put up their fares. Hotels put up their room rates willingly. When they're busy, put up the room rates, and they throw the homeless then out on the street and take in the people that are coming in for concerts over the weekends or big matches or soccer matches, and they bump it up to £300 per night for the room. And then when them customers, tourists, move out the next week, they then want to take the homeless back in for €150. You can't have it every way. By the way, the regulator should be the person that's regulating it, the same as they do every other industry. They should be saying
what hotel prices should be regulated?
Of course they should be. Why shouldn't they be? Why should they be allowed? Is the price of milk regulated? Is the price of bread and butter regulated? Of course they are.
No, but this is all about supply and demand, Joe.
That's the same as every other customer. It's the same as taxis, Jeremy. It's the same as a petrol station. It's supply and demand. But the problem is when you're putting the homeless people up and then you're throwing them out in the street because you're getting offered more money by customers coming in rather than homeless, by tourists coming in. How is that right? How can they judge and just up the price? Whether it's homeless or not, by the way, Jeremy.
Hang on for a second, Joe. This happens the world over. If you want to go to, I don't know, let's say New Orleans during Mardi Gras. Hang on, if you want to go to New Orleans during Mardi Gras weekend, you're going to pay an awful lot more than you will off-season.
That's your choice. That's your choice.
Yes.
Well, I guarantee they don't throw homeless people out to make room for these people that are paying more money, Jeremy. That's our problem here. I'm not getting into the homeless issue where they should be or where they shouldn't be. The issue we're talking about is here, are the hotels right, and should they be allowed to evict people that they have staying there for 4 nights, 4 weeks, 4 months, throw them out because they're going to treble their money and then take them back in the next week when they've no one else to take the money. You can't have your cake and eat it, Jeremy.
Well, I'm Adrian, but
sorry, Adrian.
Sorry, Liz, you can't have your cake and eat it.
But you can in that type of business. Like the issue he's talking about there is only an issue because of the fact that homeless people are losing out. Where at the end of the day, that's not an issue. As you said, that happens
to the world. That's not the issue we're talking about.
But at the end of the day, you just said that's your choice if you pay for a hotel at larger rates.
Yes, the world over. But other hotels haven't thrown out the homeless people. Well, then they shouldn't be allowed to take on the other clip. They should be told no.
But they should be told no. When that hotel for the week that the couple of weeks they don't have anybody, why would they say no when the government is well? So what? That's what they're doing.
I agree with you. Hang on, we'll agree it's a government issue. It's a government problem. But
hang on, Joe, this idea...
They're offering to pay them to put up people during the winter months or for a month here and there. If that hotel has the space, why wouldn't they take it? Because then it's money coming in. Whereas at the end of the day, whether it's concerts or summer months or matches or whatever reason that them homeless people aren't going to be there and there's going to be extra money coming in, why wouldn't they take that? They're a business.
Well, if you let me answer,
you see, Joe, if you turn around to hotels and say you either take the homeless all year round or you don't take them at all, I can guarantee you most will say,
no.
we're okay, fine, we won't take them at all. That's an even worse situation.
Well, again, will that not force the government to do something quicker about it? Because there's a hell of a lot of hotels around there that are taking the homeless people in when they're empty. My point was, Jeremy, they should be made take them long term. I'm not saying they shouldn't be taking them. I'm saying if they're going to take them, you regulate them. If you let me talk, love, I will explain. You can't keep interrupting me. If they set them an amount of months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months, 10 months, whatever it would be, and they can't throw them out in the middle of them 6 months, 7 months. They can throw them out after, like a leasing agreement. But you can't on a weekend because you have a big contract say, get out. We don't want you. We're going to get treble the rate for the room. Come on, it's the only industry in the country.
But Joe, I don't know how you can regulate it otherwise. And as we said, if you say to a hotel, you either take homeless at any time or you don't, most of them, because they're so busy now, will say, no, we're not taking them.
And then it's down to the government to sort it quicker than what they're doing. We're not disputing whose fault this is. We're not disputing it's the government's fault that we haven't got enough houses for the homeless people. We're disputing, trying to discuss and argue a way that would be better to solve it. Now, by the way, can I give you an example of the hospitals? It doesn't matter if you have 1,000 or 10,000 in the bank. Every time you go to the hospital, Adrian, it's €100. That's your fee. Whether you have 10 grand, 20 grand, 50 grand or no money, it's €100. That's regulated. Your taxi fares in this country are regulated. Whether there's a concert on, whether there's a match on, whether there's a soccer match on, that's all regulated.
I don't know of any market in the world where hotel prices are regulated.
I'm not. Neither do I. But I'm saying, are we wrong to try and do that? Who has a problem like we have in the homeless in the world? We have a major problem with the homeless. And if it means then that you have to be coerced into a long-term agreement for 6 months if you're going to take them, I just don't think it's fair that you can throw them out on a weekend. I don't think a hotel is a place for them.
All right. Okay, let me just read one final message, and this is directed at you, Liz, and it says, it's really sad to hear some of these people speak against homeless people because their ignorance is just unbelievable. Imagine trying to drag children to school, no cooking areas, depression in families. The council, the government and the hotel owners are robbing the taxpayers, laughing all the way to the bank, all getting huge backhanders. But basically what that person is saying to you, Liz, is please spare a thought for people who are homeless and the horrible lives that they're living in a hotel room.
And it is horrible, and it's I already said that, it's no place to try and rear a family, and I do get that, and I do sympathise, especially with the genuine cases who are in that circumstance due to no fault of their own. But there's an awful lot of people who are making the choice because they're in a situation like the guy who sent in the WhatsApp message that said he's in a one-bedroom apartment and he can't move his family in, and he's being told, go homeless and you'll be put in a hotel room. And there's an awful lot of people making that choice. Now, I don't think the people who are making that choice have the right to turn around and say, I'm depressed, I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other, and now I'm being put. It was because, to me, you made that choice
in the first place. All right, and let me just finish off with one final WhatsApp voice message.
It's Adrian, by the way, not Jeremy. But anyway, hotels don't have to do this service at all for the homeless. They're doing a favour for homeless people. And they are getting paid, yeah, and rightly so they're getting paid. Because sometimes the rooms are left in damage. So much damage, it's causing them thousands out of their own pocket to fix. The council aren't going to fix the damage, are they? But then, why are people complaining? I don't get this. They're doing a favour for the homeless. And rightly so, they should kick them out if they want for peak season and make their money. They're a business, for God's sake.
Thank you. And thank you all of you for your calls. I have to leave it at that. You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks. This is Adrian Kennedy. On the way after the break, do people still borrow sugar from their neighbours?
98FM's
Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less.
98FM.
Now, there was a time where all of us knew all of our neighbours. In fact, to this day, I could name every single family that lived in our cul-de-sac because we all knew each other. But times have changed, and we want to find out, have times changed that much that you wouldn't even know your neighbour well enough to pop in for a bowl of sugar? So what I want you to do, I want to find out about neighbours and whether or not people still have a good relationship with their neighbours. I want you to text or WhatsApp me right now on 0877 98 98 98 and let me know, what was the last thing you borrowed from a neighbour? Simple question. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. We want to find out, what is the etiquette now regarding borrowing from your neighbours? Jeremy, you've a woman's post there that went viral over this exact issue.
Yes. So,
which is why we're talking about this, by the way.
A woman took to Facebook over the weekend by the name of Leah, is her name. And basically, I'll read out her post that went viral because it sparked up a whole debate about whether or not it's socially acceptable to ask your neighbour for a loan of something. Now, have you ever asked your neighbours for? You don't have neighbours.
I do have a neighbour, yeah.
And what have you asked him for a loan of?
His hedge trimmer. To trim the hedges.
And how was
mine
he?
Was broken.
How was he about it?
Yeah, not a bother, yeah.
No bother, Adrian.
Yeah.
And did you bring it back to him?
Obviously, I brought it back to him.
I borrowed my neighbour's power hose last week and did the Apache. Have you ever had a neighbour call looking for a loan of something?
Yeah.
Now, the weirdest thing that I got asked for a loan of from a neighbour was a woman that lives across the road from us. About 3 months ago, she called in at 9 o'clock one night. This is a true story, honest to God. She called in at 9 o'clock one night, Adrian. Knocked at the door. I answered the door. Mm-hmm. How are you, Jeremy? Sorry to disturb you at 9 o'clock. You wouldn't happen to have a loan of 2 AA batteries, would you?
Oh.
Isn't that a weird thing to get a loan of somebody?
But if you've got a television remote control that isn't working because you've no batteries, the batteries are after wasting, it's a crisis. How are you going to swap channels?
Can you not do it manually?
No.
Well, myself and my wife thought she needed the batteries for something else. We had a little giggle about it. We don't think it was a remote control. Anyway, we never got the batteries back. If you're listening, you know who you are. We gave you a loan of 2 AA batteries, never got them back.
Sorry, really? Are you stuck for 2 AA batteries?
I'm not stuck for them. She said, can I have a loan of 2 AA batteries?
It doesn't mean a loan.
Anyway, here is Leah's message. She said, we've just moved into a new housing estate 2 months ago, myself and my boyfriend, that is. Having lived at home with our parents, we have a question. Does the can I borrow some sugar rule still apply? I love the idea that when you call to neighbours and borrow items, my mum did it all the time. But is this a thing in new housing estates with modern families? Would they think it's weird if you knocked on their door? Would they judge you? It's 8 p.m. We just made a cup of coffee and realised we've no milk. I'm now debating with my man if we should call next door. He says no. Is this no longer a thing? I can't drink coffee without milk, says Leah. So there you have Leah and her partner. And they're sitting at home at 8 o'clock. We've all been there. And Leah gets up and makes a couple of cups of coffee and then realises they've no milk. By the way, you should always check for milk before making a cup of coffee. Always check. Check the fridge first. Anyway, Leah.
But no, I went to make a cup of coffee a couple of weeks ago and didn't realise that the milk was sour until I poured it into the coffee.
Maybe their milk was sour. I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. So Leah said to her boyfriend, listen, we need a cup of coffee. We've no milk. The shops are too far away or the shops are closed. Will you pop around to the Kennedys next door and ask them for milk? And I assume Leah's boyfriend turned around and says, I am not calling into the Kennedys and scabbing milk off them. That is cringe. I don't think people accept it anymore.
Well, that's what we want to find out. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. And I want you to send me a message right now about the last thing you borrowed from a neighbour.
So can I just pull you up on something you just highlighted? And tell Adrian you can change Sky without a remote control.
Yeah, but who wants to get down on their knees when you can walk next door and get 2 AA batteries?
No, but you said this woman's life was in crisis. My neighbour's life was in crisis. You can actually go to the Sky box and go plus minus.
But who wants to be doing that?
No, nobody.
Anyway, call us right now on 6797 981. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Alma is in City West. You're on 98FM. Alma, how are you?
Good.
Now, Alma, you borrow everything from your neighbours.
We both do the same, yeah. My neighbour calls over the wall, any bread, any milk, any sugar, vice versa. We're the same. If we run out of sugar, tea bags, lawnmower, anything.
Well, if you run out of a lawnmower.
No, if our lawnmower was broke, mine was broke and I borrowed his for a while and that kind of thing. So, so any neighbours on the other side as well have come looking for tea bags at 10 o'clock at night. And
have you lived beside them for long?
We're here 2004.
All right, so you're there like 15 years.
Yeah.
So you know them fairly well.
Yes, our kids are friends, yes. We did,
Right. Okay. Now, when you move in, and this is what this lady's post was all about, she's just moved into a new estate, and her partner said it is not a thing anymore to go knocking around to the neighbours.
I lived in the country and my neighbours were miles away. And I think it's great that you knock for your neighbours and they can ask you for things.
Yeah, but in the country it's different. In the country, you'd call into your neighbours and say, here, will you mind me, young fella, for 2 hours and go into the shops? But you would, wouldn't you? Country people see things differently.
But your neighbour in the country is about a mile or two away from you. They're not right beside you, so it's different kind of...
Yeah, but I know what I'm saying is country neighbours have a different attitude towards Dublin. In Dublin, it's different, isn't it?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
Now, is there anything you wouldn't ask for a lend of?
No, I don't. No, we've asked for anything, basically, like even tinfoil and, just, I don't know.
So you name it, and more importantly, do you give it back? So if you ask for a lend of some tinfoil, would you
I don't
go...
look for it back, but if I want tinfoil, then I know I can go and ask for it sometime too, if I need it, like...
Okay, so Jeremy's saying I'm still sitting waiting for the AA batteries from the neighbour.
You gave them away.
Yeah, it's not really...
No, Alma. She said when I remember the knock at the door, how are you, Jeremy? Sorry to disturb you this hour of the night. You wouldn't have now here's the key, Alma. You wouldn't have a loan. Or I think she said land, actually.
Yeah, whatever.
If you sell batteries, you'd be kind of looking for your money back because they're very expensive.
I know, they were the IKEA batteries, the yellow batteries that everybody bought.
Yeah. And he basically, she borrowed them, so you're expecting them back.
No, I'm not sitting at the living room every night going, where is she? Where is she with my batteries? But I just think you should give something back.
No, absolutely not. I agree with Alma. She borrowed them. Okay, she said she borrowed them. Wouldn't it be so humiliating for that woman?
Jeremy, you could be stuck for batteries some night and you could end up knocking, so...
Exactly.
Okay, supposing, Alma, it's a casserole dish. Supposing your neighbour says, I need a loan of a casserole dish.
I have given things like that and I have got them back, so...
That's slightly different to 2 AA batteries.
Yeah.
But I'm not annoyed about the 2 AA batteries.
Sounds like you are.
Just don't use the word loan or lend if you're not going to give them back.
Okay, so you'd prefer her to call in and say, Jeremy, give me 2 AA batteries, please. Yeah,
I need 2 AA batteries.
Okay, we'd like to hear from you on 6797 981. You can text or WhatsApp the programme 0877 98 98 98. And what's the weirdest thing you were ever asked for?
Now, I have to say, the woman we're going to go to after the break, I would not, what's her name, Ursula, I would not in a million years ask my neighbour for what you asked your neighbour for.
Live and exclusive to Dublin's 98FM, Monday through Friday between 10 and midday. This is Adrian Kennedy. You're with 98FM's Dublin Talks. And Georgie is here with Monday's top headlines.
Thanks, Adrian. Good morning. A memorial service is getting underway around now in Bray for Seamus Lawless, who died on a descent from Mount Everest. The 39-year-old Trinity College professor was reported missing after reaching the peak of the world's highest mountain last week. The search to recover his body was called off to avoid putting anyone else at risk. Seamus is survived by his wife Pam and daughter Emma. There's about 80 seats left to fill in the local elections, with Fianna Fáil set to be the biggest party in local government once again. Counting is also underway in the Europeans. Dublin has been through a number of counts already and could elect the first MEPs by lunchtime. And the good weather looks set to change today, with thunder and hail expected. Met Éireann is forecasting heavy showers across the country later. And now you're up to date on 98.
So that's the end of me doing my grass today. George, have you ever borrowed anything from a neighbour?
Oh, I don't think I have.
So we're trying to work out if it's still a thing.
I don't think it's still a thing. Now, I've knocked into my neighbour who is a nurse for help when my daughter banged her head. But I don't think... I think I'd be really embarrassed to, ask them for
so you wouldn't
for
go in
stuff.
and say, give some milk or... No?
Yeah, no, I don't think I would.
Oh, right, okay. Well, this is an argument that Leah is having with her partner. She wanted sugar. She'd no sugar for her coffee. And she said, sure, I'll go next door. And he said, no. It's not a thing anymore.
Yeah, you just drive to the shop, don't you? It would take just the same amount of time.
Thank you, Georgie. Do you ever borrow from a neighbour? Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Morning lads, it's Kev here. Look, I grew up in Stony Batter, and everybody knew everybody. It's a working class area, but things have changed so much now. But even now, I made it a point of actually getting to know my mother's new neighbours, to the point where, because she's a bit elderly, I have their phone numbers and they have my phone numbers, and they keep an eye out if they don't see her around. And I know I can ring them because I'm not in the area anymore. If I hear something's going wrong. So anyway, that's just like it does still happen, and it is a thing, but people have to make more of an effort, and if you make the effort, you'll get the rewards. Okay, bye.
All right, thank you. You just heard Georgie saying, "Oh no, I'd sooner drive to the shop." Ursula.
Yeah.
We were saying before the break there that the thing that you borrowed from your neighbour, most of us wouldn't borrow in a month of Sundays. What was it?
Well, toilet roll.
Ooh.
Well, my son plays with her son, and we kind of chat.
Right.
We're kind of friends.
You're kind of friends.
Kind of friends.
Right, okay.
Now, you need toilet roll, you need toilet roll.
No, I get that, and when you gotta go, you gotta go. And so you discovered you had no toilet roll in the house at all.
No toilet roll in the house.
No kitchen roll.
No kitchen roll.
No baby wipes. No nothing.
I was sure because I had to go shopping, but I was sure there was still some toilet roll left. And went to the hot press. And, oh God, no, there's no toilet roll left.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made it to the shop and back on time, so I didn't have a choice.
So in you went and said, "Could I borrow some toilet roll?"
Yeah, and she passed me a roll of toilet roll when I got some toilet roll. Then later on, I gave her the roll back.
Oh.
Didn't give her the one I'd already used.
You must have been embarrassed, were you?
No, I wasn't actually. No.
Really?
Like I'm here in Nice, and a lot of the neighbours are like that. They're all the estate that I'm in. Like everybody would look after everybody, and everybody would watch out for everybody's kids. Like I've often went to the shop, or she'd be going somewhere and she'd say, "Oh look, can you watch my son for a while? I'm going shopping, or I'm going." If the children were playing together, like so. No, it didn't. I had to.
But you heard a moment ago Georgie saying that not in a month of Sundays would she go in next door and borrow something. Now she knows her neighbours, but she still wouldn't go in and borrow anything. She'd sooner hop in the car and go to the shop.
No, yeah, sure. But my neighbours often said, "Oh God, I haven't got milk now for the son's breakfast in the morning. There's any chance you'd have a bit of milk?" And I'd give her some milk for school, for the son for breakfast for school. Or yeah, we don't mind. I mean, I done it at home. I'm from Kimmage, Cumlin, Moore Cumlin, and we done it all when we were kids as well. The parents, all neighbours, looked after each other's kids when people went down the road.
Do you think we've lost a bit of that?
Things. I do think so, yeah. I mean, even the neighbours up from my dad, when I go visit my dad at the weekends, like, nobody knows anybody. The neighbours go in and out, nobody says hello to anybody, nobody...
Which is kind of sad.
No,
and
is sad.
In fact, the point that our next caller is about to make is that people just don't make an effort anymore, and I think she's probably right. Ellen, that's your point, that people don't make an effort to get to know their neighbours anymore.
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can, yeah.
Yeah, like growing up in my mum and dad's house years ago, I don't know, there was always just kind of a real awkwardness. Like, we were always considered like a blow-in, and like nobody kind of, every time we exited the house, like nobody kind of said hi. It was really kind of awkward, and you never kind of felt that sense of kind of like, oh, you can pop in, no problem, like if you want hot sugar, or it was always like that, and it was always like that for a good few years, like, and it was so strange, like, but I was saying, like, myself and my husband have moved into a new development there about 6 months ago, and myself, like, we've always kind of made sure that we knew our neighbours, because, like, in case of an emergency, like, God forbid, like, you needed to knock in or something, you want to feel a sense of security and a belonging.
Okay, so when you moved in, you made a conscious effort to introduce yourself and say hello and get to know the neighbours. I have to say, we did the exact same thing. We had new neighbours move in beside us about 2 years ago, and when they did, we knocked into them, gave them a bottle of wine to welcome them and whatever, and ever since then, John is one of my mates now. We go for pints together. So
it kind of makes you feel good, though, because, I mean, my mum and dad always said, like, geez, you'd be dead in the house and nobody would fucking know, like, and then that kind of always stuck with me, so...
Okay, so these lovely new neighbours in this new development that you've moved into, would you go in and borrow sugar?
Yeah, like I think when we first moved in, I think I was talking to my neighbour once or twice, and I think it was coming up to Christmas time, and I was baking, and we kind of didn't really have enough appliances, and I needed a weighing scale. So I said, oh, here, will I go in, will I won't go in? And I said I went in, and she invited me into the house, and she was like, look, if you need help, don't be afraid to come in and ask or text me or whatever. Even simple things like we hadn't had a lighter in the house to light a candle. And I was comfortable enough to actually knock in and ask. And
okay, but would you go in, could I borrow some toilet roll, please?
Yeah.
Would you?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, you see, I have to be honest, I'd really struggle. I'd sooner use a newspaper to wipe my arse than go in and borrow toilet roll.
No. Who cares? Everybody's just be in these situations, like, if you got it, well, hopefully, like, it's before you go to the bathroom that you knock in and ask for the toilet roll, and not
as opposed to when you're absolutely bursting.
Yeah.
All right, good to talk to you, Ellen. Thanks very much indeed. And one final call. Sinead is in County Offaly, of all places. How are you, Sinead?
Hi, how are you?
Good, thanks, Sinead. Now, you always borrow from your neighbour, no bother at all.
No problem. If my neighbour wants anything from me, they'll just knock in, no problem at all. My door's always open. It's just, I don't know, it's just maybe it's just a country thing because everyone knows everyone where I live, you know?
Now, there was a time where everyone knew everybody here in Dublin, but it seems to be becoming less and less. I think the point Ellen was making a second ago is that people don't try anymore, don't bother to introduce themselves anymore.
Exactly, they kind of like just keeping to themselves, I guess. But definitely where I am, instead of, the shop is not too far away either, but it's just if we want something, we'll just nip in and ask each other, no problem whatsoever.
All right, Sinead, and what was the last thing you borrowed?
Milk.
Milk, right, okay. And would you borrow toilet roll?
No.
No, you see, there, yeah, you're with me on that one.
I'm definitely with you on that one.
That's just one. I just couldn't do it. I'd sooner borrow a lawnmower or a pint of milk or anything but the toilet roll.
Yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one.
Yeah. Okay, good. Thanks, Sinead.
See ya.
Bye. Let me read this message. I once asked my neighbour if I could use their oven one Sunday afternoon. I was cooking a big dinner and didn't have the space in my own oven. Fair enough. Can I come in and use your oven? Okay. I'd sooner go to the toilet and have a shower afterwards than ask the neighbour for toilet roll. I have to say, I would be the exact same. And then one final message. I have found where we live in North County Dublin that on my road, my neighbours are very pretentious. They don't have the type of money that comes with a put-on accent, so we just nod and wave. It would be a WhatsApp conversation if you didn't cut your lawn on time, but the row of neighbours behind us are practical, more down-to-earth and more wealthy, and they're great friends with us. They've knocked around to us for different items, so it's not the area. Some neighbours are just arseholes, says that message. And one final message. We borrow stuff from our neighbours a lot. He has a key for our house and we have one for theirs. When I had my firstborn, they came in for tea with presents. We are 26 and they're in their 60s. Nice. All right, thanks very much indeed for all of your calls. You're listening to 98FM's Dublin Talks.
98FM's Dublin Talks. Text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98.
Now, it's the topic that everyone has been talking about over the last couple of days, and that is the swing fall. TD Maria Bailey taking a claim against a Dublin hotel after she fell on a swing. Well, over the weekend, I think the pressure got a little bit much, and Maria Bailey decided to drop her case against the Dean Hotel in which she had alleged negligence. Now, an awful lot of people think it was the most ridiculous claim ever, and as I said, she's finally backed down and dropped the claim. However, the whole story of the Maria Bailey swing fall case has opened up the whole debate about compensation culture and whether or not, A, the payouts are too high for personal injury claims, And B, whether or not personal injury solicitors are to blame, offering people no-win, no-fee cases. Well, it's never been easier to make a claim to get a fairly decent payout. Our courts are, it would appear, very generous. And today we want to find out who you believe is to blame for this so-called compo culture. Are you someone who was a victim of a claim against you? Are you someone who was involved in an accident yourself and took a claim? In a moment, we'll be talking to a woman who says that she exaggerated some of her injuries in order to get more money in her personal injuries claim. And I'd like to hear from you on 6797981. For example, I know of somebody who was recently involved in an accident, okay? And was just told this story a couple of days ago. Was involved in an accident, a car accident. And at the scene of the accident, everybody was okay. There were no injuries. Everybody was fine, and everybody headed off on their way after they'd swapped details of insurance and everything else. But now, one of the parties has put in a personal injury claim, even though at the scene of the crash there was nothing wrong. So suddenly, miraculously, this person developed a personal injury, even though at the side of the road they were perfectly okay. So it does happen, and I want to find out if it has happened to you or against you, and who's to blame. Is it solicitors for almost encouraging you, or is it down to the court system for giving out far too much in terms of compensation? And for example, we have the highest amount of money paid out for whiplash is here in Ireland. Call me right now on 6797981. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. Now, Joanne, I mentioned your case just a moment ago. You commented on our Facebook post about this a little bit earlier on. And you're speaking to us using a voice disguise because you don't want to be identified. Is it because of the shame factor, or what is it? Why am I disguising your voice, Joanne?
Well, if I'm being honest, yeah, it is. Right, I'm not proud of it. It's not something that I will be shouting around the pub on a Saturday night. Or, you know what I mean? It's not something that you say, but I kind of feel, you know, if every man for himself. You know, the insurance companies, like car insurance companies, are screwing us. So why the hell wouldn't you screw them back? Do you know what I mean? Like,
okay, so tell me about your claim.
Right. Well, I was in a car crash and went to a solicitor, and basically I was told all the little things that I could add on, and I did. So I ended up getting a lot of money for it. So,
and when you say you were told the little things you could add on, the solicitor told you this?
Yeah, and I'm delighted he did. I was told to say that I had tinnitus. I got an extra between 5 and 7 grand for that.
Sorry, tinnitus is
ringing in the ears.
Ringing in the ears, yeah.
Can't be proven. No.
So hang on, your solicitor told you to claim to the other party.
No, wait, there's more. He told me that if I said I was pissing the bed, that I couldn't have sex, that was affecting my sex life, was affecting my personal life. I couldn't sleep. I'm having flashbacks. If I added all that stuff in, my claim would just be so much higher, and it was.
Now, okay, so the accident itself. Tell me a bit about the accident itself.
Well, me and my fella were heading out just to pick up some food, and we were hit by someone. We were thrown into a wall, so that was fine. We went into hospital to get checked out. Went home next day. We were discharged, you know.
And sorry, were you okay after the accident?
I mean, I was shook up, like.
Yeah, as you would be, yeah, obviously,
like,
yeah.
And my fella's new car was destroyed. Like, he paid 35 grand for it, and it was a write-off. Like, that's how bad it was. Now,
okay, so it was a serious enough accident.
Yeah, it was a serious enough accident. Like, we could have been, had there been anybody on the path walking, that person would have been killed.
Okay, but thankfully that didn't happen. But you had
it could have happened.
Yeah, but it didn't. But you had a bad enough accident. You were taken to hospital. Had you any serious, debilitating injuries?
No, once we got through the doors, we were discharged within a couple of hours, sent home.
Right. Okay, so you were grand, thank God. You were shocked, obviously. No, I just asked you, had you any injuries?
Well, I mean, I was like in shock and my neck and all hurt.
Okay, so you had a bit of whiplash then. Was that diagnosed in the hospital then and there?
Well, they say it's hard to diagnose because you can't see it, but they were like, oh, muscular. That's what they tried to put it down to. So
if you'd whiplash from the accident, did you leave the hospital with a neck brace?
No.
Did your partner?
No.
But you had whiplash?
There's nothing you can do. You just go home, take a hot bath. That's what I was told.
And that's what you did?
Yeah, so we left it for a couple of days, and the more I thought about it, the more I thought, you know what, like, dangerous driving, you know, could have killed someone. We were both really shook up by it. I was really afraid of getting into a car again, like PTSD and all that, like, and so we headed on to the solicitor, and the solicitor told us basically what we could do to get the most out of our claim. He told us that we'd been through a very traumatic event.
And there is no denying that it was a very traumatic event. But I mean, I remember being involved in a crash, and my whole thinking of it afterwards was, thank God nobody's dead, we're all grand.
But for the grace of God. Like,
I know that. But again, at the scene of the crash I was in, it was like, oh, nobody's killed, nobody's dead, we're all grand, thank God for that. And for me, that was the end of it. But not for you.
No, I waited a couple of days. It happened on the Friday night, and it was the Monday morning I went to the solicitor. I rang first thing Monday morning, and by Monday lunchtime we were in the solicitor.
Okay, now, normally with insurance claims, you contact your insurance company and they deal with it. Why did you go straight to a solicitor?
Because, like, the crash, it was mental. Like, the whole village, it happened in a small village, and the whole village was blocked, like, both sides. It was mental. Someone could have
No, I'm not denying that it was a serious crash, but thank God you and your fella walked away from it without a scratch.
Yeah, but, like, no physical scratches. What about the mental scratches that I still face now if I see a car coming up, like, really fast at me?
So, in your claim, and obviously the car is a separate matter. The car, I assume, was replaced,
the car was
it?
a write-off, and you know what? That was nearly the most upsetting part, because 35 grand, you know...
But I assume... Sorry, I assume, Joanne, the car was replaced, was it?
Yeah, but it was replaced, but that's not it's not the point, you know. He went out and he picked this car. It was perfect. He had it just the way he wanted. He had, like, the proper wheels on it, everything done to it. For it to be written off, like...
But did he get a similar car in return?
Yeah, but he didn't get the same car, Adrian.
Well, obviously it's not going to be the same car. The car was written off.
Yeah, like, I had bought him things for that car for Christmas presents and birthday presents and all that. All that stuff now gone, like, gone in the bin, like, do you know what I mean? For what?
Okay, so, when you...
It's sentimental as well.
A car is sentimental?
Yeah.
Okay.
Believe it or not, for some people, cars are sentimental.
All right, but anyway, the insurance did settle that aspect in terms of getting a new car,
yeah,
a replacement car. Right, that's fine.
Before any of the physical or mental, before any of the solicitor stuff went through, the car was sorted within a couple of weeks.
Yes, okay.
The car was done.
Right, the car was done, but your injuries had to be settled. So when you went to, I assume this ended up in court, did it?
Well, it was going to, but they actually settled out of court because I'd say they were terrified.
Okay, now, what injuries, and I'm using that in inverted commas, did you present, or what trauma did you present to the opposite side?
We went to the solicitor, and the solicitor asked me how we're feeling, and basically I said I'm not feeling the best, you know, sore back, all that crap, and then we were told we'd have to get medical reports and all that, which was fine. We would have to pay for the medical reports ourselves, which are expensive as well, and you do risk not getting anything and losing money, do you know what I mean? So for our medical reports, I think we paid 400, 500 quid each for a medical report. And we had to get one from a doctor, one from a hospital, one from a psychiatrist. So we had that done, and well, before we were going to do it, the solicitor took us in. He said, I want to have a meeting with you before you go ahead for those medical reports or go ahead to speak to people. And he basically said, here's what you can do to heighten your claim. Here's what you can do to get the most out of this claim.
And again, he listed, did he say exactly that?
He told us, he told me fella to say that he couldn't get an erection and that it's affecting him mentally beyond beyond what you can even imagine. He told me to say that I was pissing the bed because I was so traumatised, to say that it's affected our relationship because there's no intimacy, because we're afraid, like, we're neighbours now, going out in the car, we can't relax. Then the tinnitus, if I said that I had tinnitus, he was like, can't be proven, you might as well throw it in there. That's what he told me to do, so I did.
And the tinnitus from the loud bang of the crash or something like that?
I can't really, I just went with it. I think it was because it was either a loud bang or my head basically kind of getting a bit of a walloping to the back of the seat. But I don't know, I just went and said tinnitus, it was a while ago, so, but I was told, you say tinnitus.
And just to reiterate, by claiming that you had tinnitus, added $5,000 to your claim.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because had it gone to court now, it definitely made them more. It didn't go to court, but the solicitor told me that if it went to court, you get a lot more money for it because it can't be proven. They can't turn around and tell you don't have tinnitus. They can't hear what I hear. They can't tell me that I'm not hearing a ringing in my ears when I'm trying to sleep at night. So I said that I can't sleep at night because I have a constant ringing in my ears. I literally have to turn the radio up when I am in the car full blast to try and get rid of it. I can't hear properly anymore. I can't focus. It's just affecting me in all areas. And basically, then we found out afterwards that had it gone to court, we probably would have got more than we got. And I regretted then not taking it to court, but then we feared not getting nothing. You know what I mean?
Now, I want you to tell, so we've already said that the car was dealt with, you got a new car. Now, how much personal injury did yourself and your partner receive?
Between the both of us, we got nearly $100,000.
And there was nothing wrong with you? Really?
Well, I mean, it was an inconvenience. You know what I mean?
Well, every crash is an inconvenience.
I was after the crash, now in fairness, for a couple of days, I was really upset and really nervous. Do you know what I mean? And I was, really kind of scared that if someone else was going to do it, it is in your head, especially if you're kind of going around a corner and a car comes around real fast or a car comes up behind you real fast.
And look, I get that. I've been involved in crashes myself, and I do understand all that, right? But not $100,000's worth of nervousness.
But it's a victimless. What's the word?
Well, you were going to use the word crime.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't call it a crime, but I mean, I went to get an insurance quote there on my own car, and they want $2,000 for it, and I have a full license a couple of years. Do you know what I mean? So I'm kind of like, you know what, you're screwing everybody. So why wouldn't we screw them? Why shouldn't we take them to court if we can? I don't even know if I'm allowed to say the insurance company, am I?
Why? What's the relevance?
I don't know. It's just because I don't know if they're the ones screwing people or not.
I think a lot of people think that all the insurance companies are screwing people. Okay, do me a favour, Joanne, and stay on the line there for 1 second if you can, please. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp the programme on 0877 98 98 98. 0877 98 98 98. I'd love to hear from you on this. And maybe you've been affected by this. Maybe you've had it happen to you, that somebody claimed against you for something that really clearly didn't happen. We're back in just a moment.
98FM's Dublin Talks with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98FM.
And this is Adrian Kennedy with you until midday today. We're talking about compensation claims and the way things have gotten in terms of the amount of money that is being paid out by our courts. We've the most generous amount of money awarded, for example, for whiplash claims of any country in the entire European Union. Let's have a listen to a couple of WhatsApp voice messages.
And this is why my insurance and everyone else's insurance is so dear in Ireland, and people can't get insured because listen to that stupid goat-shaped woman just there now, man. What a joke. She's ashamed of herself, should be.
Now, can I tell that person she is not the only person who has ever exaggerated an insurance claim? We've already, you've seen the ads, the fella with the big nose urging us to report on insurance fraud. And here's the thing. I think an awful lot of people, given the opportunity to slightly exaggerate a claim, will do it if they know they're going to get away with it. And especially when you're being kind of prodded by a solicitor. Joanne, I have a message that I've been asked to play especially for you, so I want you to have a listen to this, okay? You there, Joanne?
Yeah, I am.
Okay, hang on there for a second now.
I'd just like to say I had an accident a number of years ago, a work accident, when a faulty table fell on top of my feet and I broke both my feet and I was in a bad way, but I decided I wouldn't claim. Most people thought I was crazy, but I'd been working there for a very long time. I really liked all the people and I just didn't want to cause an uproar.
Now, Joanne, they say there are two types of people, those who will claim...
She's the other extreme now. She's the other extreme. Like, I mean, she actually had a break.
Yes.
She was affected by it.
Correct. And she still didn't claim.
That's her, like, you know, everybody's different. For every person who doesn't, I'm sure there's 2 or 3 people who will, or vice versa.
And in fact, Jane, your story is that you didn't claim either for a crash that you were involved in. Tell me what happened.
No, we were literally coming out of a junction and we had the right of way and the speeding car overtook a tractor and literally just ploughed straight into the side of us.
Mm-hmm.
So it wasn't, you know, the guards dealt with the person in dangerous driving, but for us, the main thing was that we, you know, material things it's just material things. That's not what is valuable. Like, we were fine. I mean, I had a couple of broken ribs from the impact and literally like a dislocated shoulder, so it wasn't life-threatening injuries. But it was, you know, my partner who was driving, he had sore back from, again, the impact, but he had no lasting injuries either. And for us, that was the main thing. I mean, at the end of the day, if, like in America, where you don't get money for the hospital, you actually have to pay yourself, then I understand that you would do that. But to pure and simple, just go, you know what, I fancy some money that I don't deserve just because I've been told by solicitor.
Okay, so your attitude to the whole thing was, perhaps you're lucky to be alive, but you are alive and you're not badly injured, and let's just leave it and put it into the past.
Yeah, exactly. And like, why would these people, the reason why insurance claims go up so much and people can't get insured, and like insurance for cars, but insurance for, you know, anything like play centres and all that, clothing left, right and centre, because people like this woman and her partner are, you know, just scammers. I mean...
Okay, but here's one of the problems, Jane. I do believe that there is a problem with the legal profession here. You know, offering no win, no fee, all that sort of thing. And you heard Joanne say, in fact, Joanne, you probably had never even heard of the word tinnitus, had you?
No, I had, like, he said to me tinnitus. I was like, tinnitus? I thought that was the injection. You know the injection thing you get when you get bitten by a dog? That's what I thought he was talking about. He was like, I thought he was talking about the tetanus. And I was like, no, I didn't get tetanus. He was like, no, not tetanus, tinnitus. I was like, what? And,
so it's tinnitus, first of all. It's a severe ear issue.
Yeah, no, I know what it is now. I know what it is. But when he said it to me, I'd never heard of it. But so I went home and I Googled it.
Yeah, so if you have to Google your so-called injury, do you really, really think that this is something that you
I got an extra $5,000 for it, paid for me honeymoon.
Exactly.
But Jane, the point I'm making is that whole idea was put into her head in the first place by a solicitor.
Absolutely, but that's because they have this no claim, no fee. So therefore, of course, they're going to lie and tell you to lie so that they can get their fee out of it.
But in fairness, that's their job, Adrian. Just like your job is to store shit, like, and get callers. Do you know what I mean? That's their job to get the most they can for their traumatised clients.
Well, in this,
and you want money for nothing.
In this example, Joanne, you're doing a good enough job in generating callers, because people get really annoyed when they hear this.
Well, Adrian, I guarantee you, for every caller that's getting angry listening, there's a caller that would do the exact same and is probably saying fair play to her. Why wouldn't you do it?
Well, on that point, I do agree with you.
Definitely. Like,
all right, stay there for a second. 6797 981 is our telephone number. You can text or WhatsApp 0877 98 98 98. Now, Jane, let me just ask you, did you claim anything for injury? Because you were a bit injured.
Yeah, we were, but we have, lucky enough to have private health insurance through our jobs, so there was no point of actually, getting money out of the person who plowed into us. As in, it's not even that person. If you were going for the person who injured you, then that would be one thing. But this is insurance companies, and I'm sorry, but, I don't like to get money for nothing. I feel like I would be, taking it from someone that actually needs it, which is exactly what your call is doing.
And in fact, there are a lot of people, and I have to say I'd be one of those people that believes no good luck will come from it when you claim money like that.
It's the same as anything. Like people that, do keep the system being with this or being with, social welfare or being with whatever, they seem to get away with it and nothing's done about it. So perhaps we need to go back, as you said, to the legal system and to sort that out. But I don't know how this person can live with themselves. She's sitting there.
Well, you just heard her say, and in fact, a lot of people do live with themselves perfectly well. Jenny, you're on 98FM. How are you, Jenny?
Hi, how are you?
Now, you were in a crash.
Yeah, it was actually about 10 years ago. It was actually a friend of ours that was driving the car, and he crashed the car. It was just a one-car incident. There was no other cars involved. And I was in the front of the car, and I got a concussion, and I had bruising on my brain with the bang I got on the head.
Right.
And then my partner was in the back of the car, and he broke his neck and broke his nose, and he got 5 stitches as well over his eye, and we didn't claim.
And you didn't claim?
No. It was a friend of ours that was driving, and it was just an accident, and we just left it at that. We were just lucky. We all got out of the car.
Okay, the car was obviously damaged, I assume.
Yeah,
it
was.
Right, so a claim would have had to be put into the insurance company anyway, wouldn't it? Or did he just replace the car?
It was an old car. The car wasn't even worth much. We were all so young back then, so he didn't even put in a claim for the car. He didn't do a thing about it.
Right, okay, so the accident happened. You were fairly badly injured.
Yeah, we were in hospital, yeah.
How long were you in hospital for?
My partner was in for about 2 weeks, and I was in for about 5 days.
Oh, right, so it was serious enough.
Yeah, it was serious
and
enough.
And was it only because it was a friend that you didn't put in a claim?
That's
what I'm trying to understand. Obviously, had you put in a claim against your friends, they'd have lost their no claims bonus, and it all got very messy. And is that the only reason you didn't put in the claim?
Well, on the other hand, we were kind of just saying we might get bad luck or something. That's the way we were thinking.
But in your case, you were genuinely injured.
Oh, genuinely, yeah. And my partner still suffers with pains in his neck and everything. It gets really stiff and all.
Okay, but that is what compensation is for.
Yeah, I know. In one way, we did speak about it quite a bit, but it's just, it was a friend of ours. It did put us in a tricky situation,
Okay, so I'm assuming then that it is because it was a friend that you didn't put in the claim.
Well, I probably wouldn't have, but the fact that my partner broke his neck and broke his nose, he was really badly hurt. Maybe if it was somebody else, he probably would, because he was genuinely hurt. But
listening to what you said, you'd concussion, you'd bruising on your brain, he'd a broken neck, a broken nose. Between the two of you, you would have got a major compensation payout.
We probably would have bought a house.
Yeah, and that's the reality of it.
I know that girl that claimed with no long-term injuries, and I agree with you on what you were saying about the solicitors. That's dreadful. They would say anything to get more fees or whatever. It's ridiculous. And it's not fair that the rest of us are paying insurance through the roof because
of that. Yeah, but in your case, I think people would agree that you were a genuine case for compensation.
Yeah, a genuine case. We didn't. It would have affected our friends as well, But it was just genuinely an accident. They just lost control of the car going around.
These things happen, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you for your story, Jenny. Let me see. Where am I going to next? I'm going to Mark. You're on 98 FM. How are you, Mark?
Hi, Adrian. How are you?
Good, thanks, Mark. That lady, Joanne, that we were talking to, said for every person who would be disgusted and annoyed with what she was saying, there was another person who would do the exact same thing. And I agree with her on that.
Yeah, it's absolutely... This is all down to the insurance companies. Like, if you think about it, another proper country that's run properly, they actually don't... When somebody puts in a claim and there's 15,000 or whatever they're getting, they actually don't give the 15,000 to that person for a life. They give them money for what they need it for to fix themselves. Okay? So that's corruption straight away. So if I go in, if I have to crash today in a car and I have... I need to have 6 or 7 physiotherapists, and they come to €300. The insurance company should pay
that
the physiotherapist the €300 to fix you and to get you back to where you were. But it's opposite here in this country. They're being given 20 and 30 grand for what can be repaired for €300 or €400. Okay, and that's the way it should be. And I have another experience as well. I'll tell you. I actually sold a recovery truck about a year ago, okay? I'm in the motor trade, okay? And my insurance every year comes in and it's absolutely terrible. It keeps on going up and up and up. And that woman at the very start of that conversation is a prime example of why our insurance, like yourself, Adrian, insurance has gone up and up and up and up. And that's an example. It's not the insurance company's fault. It's these people's fault. And this really, really needs to be ruled out of it. Of exactly why.
You see, like I said, I do believe that there is an issue with no win, no fee solicitor arrangements as well.
Well, they're pushing it. I understand that.
Yeah.
I understand that.
You heard that lady saying she'd never even heard of tinnitus, and suddenly she had it.
Yeah, I definitely really think this needs to be looked at as in the insurance sector in Ireland, because it's just going to get worse and worse and worse. And I revert back to what I said. I sold a recovery truck about a year ago, 10 months ago, and this guy from Georgia came up and bought the truck off me, and he exported the truck back to Georgia, and he didn't. He was looking for an invoice book off me, an invoice receipt off me to export it out of the country. So I met him and he says, "Can you meet me in Selbridge in Kildare, where he lived?" He says, "There's a road there's some train station down by Selbridge." And I went over and I met him and I gave him the book, and he says to me, "I don't know whether you're interested," he says, "but are you interested in earning easy money?" And this is no word of a lie. If my wife is listening to me now, she'll stand by what I'm saying. This is the truth. He says that it's easy money. He says, "All I need," he says, "off you," he says, "is you to go into the back of my car." He says, "You give me $2,000 up front," he says, "and then I'll give you the remaining money," he says, "out of the claim."
Oh my God.
This is his job. There is organisations that go around Ireland, foreign nationals, probably Irish as well, are doing it. They seem to be quite good at it.
That's shocking. That is unbelievable.
And that is the truth. That is the truth.
Now, you see, the difference between that and that's deliberately staging accidents in order to make insurance claims. That's slightly different to that lady, Joanne. She was genuinely in a very serious accident. It's just her injury.
She genuinely deserved the money that she got.
No, of course not. And she even knows that herself. Let me just very quickly bring in one last call. Jay, you're on 98 FM. How are you, Jay?
How are you, Adrian?
Good, Jay. Very quickly, what do you want to say?
I think she's a scumbag.
Oh. Right, that's very quickly. Let's have a listen to this WhatsApp voice message.
Adrian, that yoke you're talking to and our fella are pure and utter scum. They're dirt. I was involved in an accident years ago. My back is really, really bad after it. It still is. I'll have to have operations in years to come. I should have got a couple of $100,000, but because of scum like her and our fella that are putting in all the fraudulent claims, that the judges were clamping down on them at the time. And I got 45 grand for something I should have got about 250 grand for. For absolute dirt, and she should be ashamed of herself. And I hope they never have a day's luck with it. Why?
Well, she already said it paid for her honeymoon. So she did have a bit of luck with it. And that's not me in any way condoning what she did, by the way. One more message.
Adrian, I had a car in Donabate about 2 years ago in the ice, and I barely touched them. And 2 days later, they were ringing my insurance company and they got about 5 grand for the car and whiplash. Absolute disgrace. The van barely touched the car. So That's the way it's gone now these days.
All right. Thank you very much indeed for all of your messages. This is 98FM's Dublin Talks. I'm Adrian Kennedy. And on the way after the break, Life Hack Monday. I want your little tips for making life that little bit easier.
98FM's Dublin Talks. With Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors. Where quality flooring costs less. 98FM. 98FM's Dublin Talks. Life Hack Monday.
Life Hack Monday. Now, this is where we ask you to share with us your little life hacks. This is these little things in life that just make life that little bit easier. And Jeremy is here.
Yeah, we'll reward you as well for making our lives easier, won't we?
Yes. We have passes for IMC Cinemas to give away right now on 6797981. We want your life hack. Now, Jeremy has a couple for us.
I have two great ones that I've just picked up in the last couple of weeks. Okay, now the first one is very apt at the moment because of the good weather, because of the summer at the moment. So, you give your kid an ice pop. Kids love ice pops at the moment.
Do.
What happens when you give a kid an ice pop?
Yeah, they lick it.
They don't lick it quick enough and the ice pop melts and it goes. You obviously haven't given a kid an ice pop in a long time.
Right.
When you give my kid a loop-de-loop or whatever the ice pop may be, they don't eat it quick enough and it melts all over their hands and it's all over their clothes, everything. Here is my life hack. When you give your kid an ice pop, get a fairy cake case. You know the fairy cake cases you have at home?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cut a little hole in the centre of the fairy cake case and put it up the stick.
How clever!
Yeah, I know. I
and he collects the dribbles.
Sometimes I actually shock even myself. I don't know how I came up with that, but I came with that a couple of weeks ago. I bought my young fella a loop-de-loop ice pop.
Yeah.
And he was licking it and he was spending so long licking it that it was melting and going down his arm and his hand and going all over the seat. So I ran to the kitchen. I got a fairy cake holder, one of those paper holders.
Yeah.
Cut just a tiny little hole in the centre of it. Stick the ice pop into it. Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt. You will never have a messy kid.
That is
ever.
a brilliant idea.
Oh, thanks.
And that was all yours.
That was all my idea.
I love it. That's a great idea.
My second one.
Yeah, go
Very
on.
quickly. When you're going to a concert and you order a drink, you know the way you order you'd order a bottle of Sprite Zero, whatever the case may be. And in concert venues, they will take the caps off them and they won't give you the caps. It's a pain in the arse.
Yes, it is.
Because if you drink something and you leave it there, it goes flat. So here's what I do. Anytime I go to a concert now, I bring a spare cap.
Really?
Yeah, I spare cap in my pocket. So you go up to the counter at the tree arena.
Buy a bottle of Coke or whatever.
You buy a bottle of Coke and your woman says to you, I'm sorry, I can sell you the bottle of Coke, but I'm going to have to take the cap off you.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem, ma'am. Take as many caps as you want. Then you go up to the seat, take a drink, and put the cap that you brought in your pocket along with you.
How clever.
It's gold, isn't it? I'm telling you, there's not one parent to listen to this show today that's not going to do the fairy cake thing.
It is very clever, I have to say.
Isn't
Okay,
it?
that's what we call life hacks. This is your tips to make life that little bit easier. We've passes for IMC Cinemas to give away, and we'd love to hear your life hacks for Life Hack Monday on 98FM's Dublin Talks. Henry is in Rathcoole. You're on 98FM. Henry, how are you?
Good, lads. How's things?
Hey, Henry.
Henry, what's your little life hack?
Refuse sacks. You know how hard it is to open them. You get static and all that, and you have to give it to somebody that has nails. Well, this one is quite easy.
Yeah, go on.
You just run your thumb and your index finger underneath the cold water tap. Just wipe it off the side of your jeans a little bit, and voila, it opens.
Because your fingers are cold?
No, because they're a little bit damp from the water.
Oh, I never thought of that. Because, I was changing the black bag in the kitchen yesterday, and you grab the big thing of roll, and you can never find where the tear is, by the way.
That's
never
true.
find where the tear is. You tear off the bag, and then you can't get the bloody thing open. Yeah.
So, you get the right end of the refuse sack, obviously, and just run your thumb and finger under the cold tap, wipe it off the side of your jeans, and then boom.
Can you not do what I do, which is just do this? Just lick the tips of my fingers.
No, it's not the same.
No?
No, it's not the same. Just because it's so frustrating trying to open it.
Henry, do you have children?
I do.
Jeremy's fairy cake hack. Remember it. It's going to save your life. Well, maybe not save your life, but
Definitely will, lads, yeah.
Yeah. You can buy a packet of fairy cake cases, 100 of them in Aldi for like €1, okay?
Brilliant, Jeremy. Yes, brilliant.
So, try it out and let me know how you get on, okay?
I will do, and you can try my life hack as well then.
Oh, just lick me lips like Adrian did. Or lick me fingers.
Right, lads.
Thanks, Henry. I mean, that actually sounds like, what's the opposite of the life hack? A life injury, a life...
Can I get a patent on the thing, I wonder? The fairy cake. Can I, own that?
No. What, own an idea?
Yeah, you can own an idea, can't you?
If you own the fairy cake holders.
No, I don't.
No. Now, Margaret is in Kilkenny, of all places. Hello, Margaret.
Hiya.
Now, Margaret, what is your life hack?
So when you drop an egg and it breaks, don't try and pick it up. Pour salt on it and let it coagulate together, and then just scoop it up in your tissue.
Now, what does coagulate mean?
So it comes together. So Joey, it's all gooey and messy and...
Right, now, this actually happened to me about 3 weeks ago. I dropped an egg on the ground, yeah?
It's amazing how you remember the exact time you dropped an egg on the ground. What day was it, Adrian?
Recently, okay? And I used half a kitchen roll just picking the bloody egg up. So you're saying, no, don't be wasting your time.
Yeah, pour salt on it, and it won't leave this sticky mess on the floor either. Joey, when you wipe it up, even if you're to get it up with the tissue, there's still going to be something on the ground.
Yeah.
So when you use the salt, it just all comes up together.
What a clever idea. Right, so the next time I break an egg...
on the floor.
On the floor.
How would that happen, though, lads?
It slipped out of my hand. I was taking it out of the fridge and it slipped down onto the ground.
Okay.
Well, it happens.
Everyone breaks eggs.
Yeah. It's the first Tuesday in May as well, Adrian, wasn't it? That's what happened.
No.
At 2:35.
No. But it just slipped out. I was taking it out of the fridge and it slipped out of my hand. Yeah. And bang, half a kitchen roll mopping it all up. So just leave it there and put salt on it.
Yeah, and cover the whole thing in salt.
And along afterwards, can I actually take it up off the floor?
It'd be like 2 minutes.
Oh.
Marcus, can I just say thank you as well for teaching me a new word I never knew existed, coagulate. Never heard that word before in my life. But how would you ever use that word in everyday language?
She just did.
I know, but...
The egg will coagulate on the ground.
It's a great word. Coagulate.
Thank you, Margaret.
No matters, bye.
What is your life hack? Call us very quickly on 6797 98.1. Lucy is in Ballymun. Lucy, you're on 98FM. How are you?
How's it going, lads?
I'm feeling a bit coagulated today, to be honest with you, Lucy. Very coagulated.
What is your life hack, Lucy?
Now, if you've no dustpan or it's broke, or you can't afford them, even though they're only £2 each.
Yeah.
A sheet of newspaper, wet all along the edge of it, put it on the floor, perfect. Sweeps everything up. It's actually better than a dustpan.
So, a sheet of newspaper?
Yes.
But if you try to sweep something onto the newspaper, surely the newspaper will rip and all, no?
No, just the end of just the end of it, not the whole sheet. Just the end of it. Put it on the ground, stand on it to stick it to the ground, sweep everything onto it, hold it in the bin.
And then just roll it all up?
Yep, works perfect.
What a great idea. But mind you, as you said, you can get a dustpan in IKEA for €1.
Yeah, but maybe some people are just too cheap.
And there's never a dustpan around when you want one either, isn't it?
Nope.
Thank you, Lucy, for your life hack.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much indeed. Have you got a life hack for us? Call us on 6797 98.1. I am sick of flies and wasps coming in the summer. Buy an oil burner. Put drops of either peppermint or eucalyptus or tea tree oil. No flies or wasps will come in. Put oil burner in front of open window.
What's an oil burner? Oh, this is just like a candle holder thing.
Yeah, with a little bowl on the top of it.
And flies won't go near you?
No interest. But she says, put it beside an open window. But sure, if you keep the window closed, then the flies aren't going to come in, are they? Seriously?
No, flies will find a way to get into your house even if your window is open or closed.
And finally, if you walk too far from your car and you've not locked it, your car remote won't work because you are out of range. Put the remote up to your head and it amplifies the signal, says Tony.
Now, I think that sounds like a great hack. I don't believe that for one moment. So you use your head as an aerial?
Yeah, as a transmitter.
Stop. Is that true?
So he says. Don't know how true that is.
So the next time you're in Dunn's or Tesco car park and you see a man or a woman walking around and they have their
the remote in their hand and they're pressing the button.
They're holding it up to their head, walking around. That's what they're doing.
How bizarre. I never knew that was actually a thing. And finally, cut a square out of the bottom of a beer box and the can will, each time you take one out, they won't fall all over the fridge. I don't really get that. Cut a square out of the bottom of a beer box.
Yeah.
And the can will something each time you take one out, and they won't fall all over the fridge. Jeez, if you've that much beer in your fridge that it's fallen all over the fridge, then you've...
And by the way, when you buy beer, you shouldn't put the beer in the fridge in the actual cardboard box it came in. Take it out of the box and put it on the shelf.
And finally, when you're finished with the sellotape, fold it over and make a little lip. You'll never have to pick at the tape again. Takes me ages.
Ah, yes.
Yeah.
Trying to find the gap. Yeah.
So use a little bit of sellotape, then put a little fold in it, and then the next time you come back to it, it's, job done. All right. Thank you very much indeed for all of your life hacks. That's it from us for today. We're back with you again tomorrow. Oh, and sorry, just finally, I use the car key trick too. It definitely works, but you have to be looking at the car to focus the beam. No, that's a load of rubbish now.
So it's like, when you get Sky Digital in, Adrian, and they have to direct the satellite dish in a certain way to pick up like the Middle Eastern channels.
Just hold the thing to your head.
So you have to adjust your head to pick up the right signal. No, that's ridiculous. Do not try that at home, please.
Thank you very much indeed for all of your life hacks. We're back again tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. If you want to get in contact with us, send us an email right now, dublintalks@98fm.com. Andy Clark is on the way. In the next hour, he's got some great music lined up like these.
You give me your Simone. Where is your love? Tired of songs, tired of songs, tired of songs, tired of. Just wanna go home, wanna go.
98 FM's
Dublin Talks
with Des Kelly Interiors. For all the latest trends in carpets, vinyls and wood flooring. Des Kelly Interiors, where quality flooring costs less. 98 FM.